Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Spee here, and today we're going to be looking at Andre's Wraith King game. This is a Legend 2 match, 3.1 KMMR, and what he said is that he played with a team of 4, and of course the whole party wants to try and flame the only person not in their party. That is true, that actually does happen. Like, if you guys are one to solo queue, especially in unranked, you'll have this problem. It's definitely a thing. People just like to scapegoat the random. But he still got MVP, so without further ado, let's hop into this game. Alright, before we get into the main part of the video, I do want to let you guys know that I'm not only posting videos here on YouTube, I also frequently post videos on the website. If you don't know what I'm talking about, almost every single day I'm posting a new video to the Game League website. We're going to teach you guys in depth about how to get to the next level. So if you want to become absolutely broken, click the link down below and sign up. He had a pretty good match, but you know, let's be honest. If you're Legend 2, you're making a lot of mistakes. I hate to say it, I hate to be that guy, but it is what it is. But alright, let's get into the item build first, kind of see if I would critique anything. In terms of starting items, it looks like he's against probably Spectre Grim, so not the best stick lane, so I actually like this starting item build. I think I would maximize on damage to try to get denies against Spectre. From there, he goes SHREDS, which is fine. After that, he goes straight into Midas, which I don't hate. I don't love it though. I'm personally a questioner of the Midas. The reason why is my issue with the Midas is at this point in the game, if you go Armlet, you hit extremely hard, and I'm pretty sure that Armlet doesn't make you farm that much slower than Midas. Because of the fact that it allows you to really crit down Ancients effectively, I just don't like the Midas. And you can argue, oh, but the skeletons, they do all the farming for you. Not really. I mean, kind of, but not really. So I'm personally somewhat of a hater of the Midas. I just think Armlet is better. Whatever, he goes to standard Midas Blade Mail. After that, maybe I would pick up a wand, right? Maybe I'd replace these gauntlets. I don't think you have to go Soul Ring this game. Then he goes Heart. Yeah, so I mean, I hate this. I'm just gonna be blunt. I don't understand why you would go hard, right? It's like, you just aren't gonna do any damage. The only way he does damage now is if they kill themselves on Blade Mail. Like, if they suck. So, I don't know. I'm not a fan of this at all. I feel like it's not good for farming. I don't think it's good for killing people. And then he goes Axe, which I don't mind. You know, I think late game Axe on Wraith King is extremely good. For instance, if like Phoenix gets gone on, he can still click Sunray and his ulti, and Oracle can still get all of his spells off, and Shadow Fiend can get his spells off. It's really, really strong. Wraith King ult is really strong. And then finally for the last item, back into Radiance, which is kind of weird because Radiance as a late game item just isn't that good. It's good as an item because it allows you to farm and scale. So going back for Radiance is very questionable. It's good on this build because you're tanky and you're burning people, but it's more of an early game item. You know, the later game goes, the harder it is to get value out of Radiance as people are tankier, and you know, there's going to be more magic resist and more HP regen, and in general, it just falls off. So not a huge fan of the build up. I personally don't like this build. I know it's the most common build to go Midas, but I think it's underwhelming. Either way, let's get into it. All right, so in the laning stage, the main thing I want to look for is, does he find kills with the skeletons? I think particularly at level 2, but most importantly at level 3, when you have 4 skeletons. Okay, so he's laning with Oracle, which is not a good laner, but you know, you can root into skeletons. So let's see how he manages to build up skeletons and go from there. Okay, so in the first 2 waves, the main complaint I have is just the last hitting and denying. I know people don't like hearing this type of thing because it's like, oh, I know speed, I'm bad at it. But guys, I'm just gonna make it very clear. If this is the way you last hit and deny, you will not get to Divine or Immortal. It's just not gonna happen. Starts like this make it so hard to snowball the laning stage, right? Because you notice here, okay, he's gonna go for the range deny, gets it. Wonderful, right? Things are looking good. Okay, wave is pushing in a bit, it's fine. Walks to the left, which is not really great considering it's gonna cause him to take some unnecessary damage here. Whatever, misses this, yes, just gets distracted, right? He could have definitely lasted it. Could have definitely pulled aggro on it, whatever. On to the next creep. On this creep, hits it extremely early and doesn't get it. Obviously not good. Doesn't get that deny. Clicks his W for no reason with no skeletons. Misses that CS. And I hate to be picking on him so much, but, well, no, I don't, because it's important for the point of the video, right? Gets that deny, so he does get 2 range denies, which is obviously good, but other than that, it's not very clean, you know, with 69 damage and a Quelling Blade, you kind of gotta, I mean, you have to have way more CS in this. You need skeletons built up, because right here, this is an opportunity, not necessarily to go right here, but in a lot of games, you would hit level 2 by now, if you CS'd a bit better and didn't get denied, and you shove the wave a bit more, it's quite pushed, he should be hitting it. There are way too many creeps here, right? You don't want this many creeps. It makes it very hard to bully the Spectre when you have like 6, 7 creeps on you. It's not good. It makes it hard to put any pressure at all. Yeah, when you hit level 2 and you get your 2 skeletons and you're stunned, you can get aggressive, but he didn't even have that opportunity because, well, he just missed a lot of CS. So, guys, you gotta clean it up, and you might be like, oh, you know, he's got 7, that's not that bad. Well, first of all, it is that bad, and second of all, even though it is not necessarily horrible, it's just like, at Legend, the Spectre didn't go for a single deny, kind of, like just about didn't, and the Grim also didn't. In Immortal, both of them are going to grief your CS. Okay, and then you still have to get 10 or 11 or 12, right? So that's why I just see this as completely unacceptable. Like, it's really bad. Now, at this point, my main critique is that he just doesn't auto-attack the wave enough. Like, it's good to get the lane back, but then you need to make sure it's somewhat balanced. Like, it's just a problem when there's this many creeps. On top of that, as Wraith King, you kind of want to auto-attack a lot. Or at least as much as you can after pulling creep aggro to heal up a bit, right? Don't just auto-attack the wave, like face plant it. You're just gonna eat a bunch of autos from the support and the core, and you're a 2 armor hero. It doesn't work, but you wanna pull aggro onto your range and then auto-attack, right? This is a good way to heal, and a good way to keep the wave at least slightly shoved when it's on your side. So yeah, he ends up spawning skeletons casually here, which I'm not a huge fan. He did it when under the tower. And at this point, all I'm looking to do is hit my 4 skeletons and make a go on the Grim, right? At some point, find a go on the Grim. So like right here, I would be like, okay, after the CS, I'm about to have 4 skeletons. I should look at the Grim. And I kind of feel like he's just not, right? So misses that CS, whatever. But this is what I'm talking about. Like it's very slow, and you have to know your timings, guys, and then just freaking use them when people step out of position. Like being good at Dota, I don't want to say it's simple because there's a lot of moving parts where you have to like know your timing and then know the bad positioning of the Grim. I guess that's it, right? You know, like that's kind of it. You kill range creeps, range heroes with skeletons because they don't have built-in stout shields. That's something some people don't know. Melee heroes have a built-in block, right? 50% chance to block. I think it's 16 damage. So they counter skeletons a little. Still does a lot of damage, but point being, after the CS, he should have 4 skeletons, whatever, misses it, it is what it is. And then he should walk over, and this Grim is 3k MMR, so he steps up instead of the fact that he should step back because there's a Wraith King with 4 skeletons with stun who should easily kill him. But he goes on him, doesn't even summon skeletons until the end of the kill, which is not really good. What you want to do is you want to summon skeletons and then stun. Then the skeletons will go to who you stun, right? So the execution here is not great. It should be summon skeletons, then stun, and that would have been a bit better. But okay, right? Obviously the execution, the idea of going on Grim is good. I'm glad he did it. Just, it was slow and inefficient. Let's keep going. Now at this point in the lane, I'd love to see him pick up some sort of mana item or have had a stick from earlier. He could also buy like raindrops because I really would like to see him, especially if he's gonna bother putting 2 points in stun, which I don't think is very good. To be perfectly honest, it's not the end of the world. I don't think it's great. Either way, what I think is important is killing your passive at least 1 point. It's just really good for getting last hits. It's good for harassing the opponent. You can use it on them off cooldown. I just don't think the stun scales well either. It scales quite poorly. So yeah, not a huge fan of this build. And if you are going to do this, then he needs to make sure he's buying mana so that he can use these skeletons and then use the stun on Spectre to grief the Spectre's farm. I don't really mind letting the skeletons push in the wave a bit. It's okay, right? It will kind of shove in the wave, give him the CS. It's, you know, it's easy, it's simple. But yeah, before we move on into the mid game, guys, even though he is top net worth, I do want to say that I think his laning stage was quite bad. And the reason why I say that is mainly because of the fact that out of the entire 10 minutes, he made 1 attempt to put pressure with skeletons. Now, I don't mind using skeletons to farm, especially in some matchups, you just can't even pressure them with the skeletons. Right? Maybe it's against a Sven who's having a good game and he's just gonna cleave them down. Yeah, sure, whatever. Just save them and use them on neutral camps to farm. That's a good idea in lanes where you can't use them. But Spectre Grimstroke, like Grim is okay, but even his Q doesn't one-shot the skeletons most of the time. And so, yeah, I just don't really love the fact that there was very little attempt to actually put pressure in this lane. All right, now once again, I hate to be beating a dead horse, but essentially he's just not using the skeletons for damage. And it's just a big part of the hero in the early game. I think Wraith King without skeletons for kills is just useless, frankly. I mean, the stun is okay, but that's all you really are, a stun. I mean, you're a stun and then you don't die. But like here in this team fight, I mean, he should know a fight's gonna break out. These people have been running around the tower for a while now. And yet it's just like clicks to skeletons randomly and they're gonna siege the tower. Finally, he throws a stun and Grim, which is gonna do some damage. But I mean, look at this. This is 2 skeletons. They just eat the guy alive. It's so broken. Imagine he summoned 7 or 8 of these and did the same thing. It would basically kill him. Like, honestly, I actually kind of like the stun max because it makes it a lower cooldown with the skeletons. it stuns for longer. It's kind of nice. Like, I don't even think it's that bad. Like, I actually kind of like the idea, especially if you're going to fight early game. I feel like it's much more useful than the crit, especially if you're not going armlet. I think if you're going armlet, you just take the E. But whatever, with this build, it's fine. This blade mail's in his backpack. Swaps in the salve, but not the blade mail. It's kind of crazy. I don't know. There's something crazy about that. But whatever. Pops his ulti. It's fine. This execution in this team fight was quite okay. But yeah, I don't know how much he actually did. So the next thing to note is Wraith King is a very bad hero when you don't have ulti. It's just extremely gankable. It's immobile, not tanky. It's not hard to kill. Like, you're a 1200 HP hero. It's quite pathetic. So you have to play more defensive. I think he just kind of gets caught out here. You know, he's used to playing like, oh, I blade mail and usually I respawn and, but you actually die really easily on this hero. So just try to be careful. Like, basically what I would suggest to him in a game like this is if I'm afraid of getting ganked, right? Because he didn't see them bottom, he didn't see them mid. If you see this, if you don't see them mid or don't see them bottom, you should be farming up the neutrals and then summoning skeletons down the lane rather than just like showing the wave for 10-20 seconds, which is kind of what he was doing. So yeah, okay. But I like that he's farming, I will say. This is exactly where I'd want him to be. If I was coaching him here, I'd say, farm up the jungle, use Midas on the big creep here. Yeah, exactly. I don't mind the People's Gift. I think it's fine. There might have been better items, but whatever, it's okay. Summons skeletons here, very nice, no problems there. Slark TPs to his lanes, so all I would be thinking here is, okay, Slark took top farm, so what farm can I take? Okay, bot farm. So I'd go hit the portal. Like here, I don't really know where he's going because there's no creeps where he's running. I would hit the portal so I can farm up the bot lane, get huge, right? Just farm up those neutrals, because, yeah, he's just, like, running in circles here. You can see it's very inefficient, and he blocks the camp. Yeah, it's just not efficient. Now, Slark ends up taking bottom, so whatever. At this point, I'm going to stay top now. So, okay. I would have loved to see him go Radiance at this point. I don't see why he is going Heart. Like, yeah, obviously we'll let him frontline, but he doesn't have a blink. So, I don't know. I feel like going Heart without blink on this hero, you're just going to get ignored. You don't really have an initiation tool. Like on Primal Beast, when they go this build, it's because the hero inherently does a ton of damage and can lunge itself forward and start the fight. Wraith King can't do these things. And so, do I love what he's doing for the Legend bracket, which is pushing in the side lanes and farming? Yeah. Could he do it way faster? Yes. When the Slark went top, he should have went bottom. He should have shoved in the wave. Here, this is fine. Shoves in the waves with skeletons. I would have personally suggested he continue going down the lane. Here, I don't really see why he goes to the right, because they showed mid, right? If you didn't see what I saw, let me just replay it. 5 heroes mid, so there's no reason to run to the right. Continue to push your limits. Push this out as far as you can. And because it's Legend, the Slark is not really farming, and neither is Shadowfeet. And so all of a sudden, neither is Phoenix, so now there's just a huge bot wave. So I would be getting freaking massive here. I would be getting massive. You might be like, oh, you're taking Slark's farm? Yeah, a little bit. So yeah, obviously you don't want to step on your carry's toes too much. I'm just saying take what they're not taking. And I can see why they flame you, for sure. Like, especially in low MMR, people think you have to fight, which in Dota, Dota, there's no rule book. But what I would say in terms of knowing when to fight is if you're on a timing and it's close to a tower, you should probably show up. Like, realistically here, I would probably TP. I would expect you to have Radiance at this point if you're a bit more efficient. Yeah, so you would have Radiance here, and then, like, this is absolutely a fight you'd want to be at. You know what I mean? Let's say you have the Radiance completed. This is like the God fight, you know what I mean? Because it's somewhat close to the tower, you could show up, and so that would be wonderful. Yeah, but once again, I'd be pushing in top here because, like, farming to the right compared to farming to the left and sending skeletons down the lane, and you would get a free tier 1. Right, it would open up the map. Maybe this bottom fight wouldn't even happen because the enemy team would feel pressured. You could even help prevent this fight by farming more aggressively. And that's something people don't understand. They're like, I want to farm speed, but my team's killing themselves. Yeah, your team's going to kill themselves very frequently. It's kind of part of the game, especially at average to low MMR. But the main way you can prevent it is by getting solo kills in side lanes and baiting TPs, or baiting TPs or forcing TPs by farming the lane aggressively. And so he definitely could have done that, right? He certainly could have done that here, but okay. Pushing in the lane here, exactly what I'd want him to do. Took the Skeleton's talent, exactly. I'd love to see him take the other ones as well. People used to not take Skeleton's talents, and I always thought it was terrible, because I think the Skeleton talents are OP. Yeah, at this point, I mean, on my Heart timing, this is a problem. I feel like Heart's not even a timing, as I mentioned. I feel like you just don't do anything besides live. Your purpose is to get gone on, which, okay, you know what? At least if you're going to buy Heart, I would want to see you run in like a Psycho like you just did. So shout out that play. Out of all the plays this game, that was my favorite one. They were on a ward, right? So you're forcing a fight on a ward. You're forcing a fight near a tower. I don't know how intentional this all is, but, his decision there was wonderful. He did exactly what he should have there. So I love that. That was definitely the best play of the game. But okay. Continuing to push on the lane, that's fine. The skeletons are going in. I see. Yeah, I mean, this is what happens in average MMR. If you try to farm and push in waves, your team's just gonna overextend and die. I would continue to farm. I would definitely push in the wave here. Like, they're running blind into nothing. They don't even see anything. Why are they here? You know, like, they just hit some neutrals, push in the wave, wait to get that award, go for Roche. Like, there's so many safe plays that are good and efficient. But they're doing a psycho one. Like, yeah, it's not on you. It's just whatever. But the main thing you have to do if you're going to do this is A, pick a hero that farms well. Wraith King is that. And then B, do it very, very well, right? Which I would say this player's honestly better than Legend at farming. I would give this player like an Ancient 3 level of farming, but it could be way, 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 way better by getting in the lanes farther and faster, identifying when his team isn't taking a lane and using the portals to get more lane creeps, and then just buying, frankly, better items for farming. Like, honestly, if I was him and I'm playing in this bracket, I probably wouldn't even buy Blade Mail. I would just go full greed. I would just go like Midas Radiance or Armlet Radiance and just play to like 1v9 at some point, because frankly, you just can. Like, there's literally, I mean, even a pro Dota, people are mostly farming, you know? Sort of. Depends on the team comp, but like most of the strategies are revolving around farming, you know? All right, and the nice thing about Wraith King at this point in the game is you really can't mess up the fight execution. It's just, I mean, I guess you can overextend, but fight breaks out, yeah, just, you know, run forward. That's about it. Hit the supports optimally, summon skeletons. To be fair, the skeletons at this point in the game kind of just die, but yeah, chuck out another stun. You love to see it. Stun him next to the egg, then walk up to the next guy and stun the next guy. It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy. Once again, he doesn't do any damage, but at least he's running in. And I do like that he buys his shard here. And to finish off the video, let's kind of look at some of this final team fight. It's kind of funny because I really feel like he needs a magic wand just so he can continue to spam stun. But yeah, this stun is good. Hit the slaughter, do literally -2 damage because of your items. But I'll stop saying it. But okay, keep going. I don't mind him running forward here. I literally think him getting gone on is good. The only thing you don't want to do is bait your team to run into an open area or into an area where the enemy team has wards. People will be like, oh, I'm invincible, I should run forward. It's like, no, because your team isn't, so you need to make sure they can actually follow you without just feeding. So yeah, running in here, getting echoed is exactly what you want. Getting initiated on, eating like a ton of spells. The enemy team should be trying to literally go around him. Like, in a pro level, because of these items, to be blunt, they should literally smoke and just go immediately around him. They need to get on SF or they need to get on the backline because he can't really protect them. He can throw a stun, but that's it. Like, the right clicks are not threatening. And as a result, they should actively be trying to get around him. But people at Legend don't really know that. And so I guess this build ends up being okay. But hopefully you guys can kind of see my perspective on that. Like, I'm trying to teach you what's kind of at least generally optimal. You know, I'm not going to say I know exactly how Dota should be played, but I can tell you from my experience in really high MMR, if they see this type of thing, they're just going to ignore you, right? The fights like this are going to be the bad ones where you're just kind of running around in the middle. This guy's not going to nuke you. He's going to nuke someone else because he realizes you're not important, and the backline gets gone on, right? And then maybe the fight's hard. Like, yeah, obviously it ends up not mattering here. Well, actually, maybe that's not true. Maybe it does matter here. It looks like this fight's a little bit hard. Yeah, and this fight goes poorly. And the reason why is they finally didn't, I mean, there was probably a bunch of factors. Maybe eggs on cooldown, looks like eggs on cooldown. Maybe BKBs were on cooldown. Like, I'm not paying attention to every factor. I'm, you know, doing this for the sake of the video. But yeah, when they go around him and ignore him, all of a sudden things get really, really hard. So I would switch up the build. I would switch up the gameplay a little bit. I would look to push out the lanes much more aggressively. In the laning stage, even though he was top CS by 20 at minute 10, or minute 11, it still was really bad. And that's the reality. Like, people are like, oh, I don't know how to win my Legend games. And then I watch, and it's like, you missed so many last hits and didn't push out the wave efficiently and bought bad items. At least his teamfight execution was pretty good, and I feel like his teamfight selection was very solid. Like, I don't think he forced bad fights. I didn't see him ever dive a tower. So in terms of the fight execution, which I feel like Legends usually mess up quite bad, no offense, I thought he was very good with that. So honestly, shout out to this player in that regard. I think that was probably his biggest strength in this game that allowed this game to look pretty clean. He kept a pretty comfortable net worth lead for his team by pushing in the waves and choosing good fights. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. I'll see you next one, and I'm out. Peace.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the Game Leap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.